Howdy, howdy.
Hey guys.
Hey,
How are y'all doing today?
Good. What's up?
good.
Doing good. So, our summer newsletter is about to go out. So, we are going to take this opportunity to kind of go through it with you guys with us. So,
Kind of like the verbal equivalent of our
yeah,
email that
it's a
goes
little
out.
more fun than just reading or writing.
Yeah,
You've got a
and we
great writing style that does really come across in those, but goodness gracious, it's a lot more fun when we get to talk to you guys about it. So,
so we won't drone on too long about the stuff. We've got a bunch of stuff coming out. We've kind of spoken to most of it over our last few videos. So I'll just give a quick update on everything. Again, not really digging in too much on any particular thing, but just a brief overview of everything you guys could look for. Jared, I think you said we're looking for everything on this third quarter-ish this year.
Yeah, I think a lot of the items that we're going to discuss are going to be delivering in the third quarter.
Okay,
So
cool.
that's around September, October-ish.
Yeah, I mean, certainly this year.
Yeah.
So some of the stuff you guys have been on standby for, like the Dune Chris knife. Now this is Lynch's '84 Dune. That's going to be the Chris knife with the sheath and a stand. Those are deep into production right now. Again, looking for those third quarter fallish, but we'll update sooner as we get to it. The Hunter Seeker, same position. It's right in there around the same time. In fact, it would shock me a bit if both those pieces don't actually show up around the exact same time. So that'll be fun. And its construction is aluminum, brass, acrylic, mixed media. It's pretty sweet, and it'll have a little stand and a plaque with it. Sorry, just to go back to the Dune knife, that's going to be resin, and we're trying to get some metal accents on there. So we'll update on that as soon as we get our next sample. All these pieces, we've had multiple samples on come in from the factory where everything's dialed in. It's where it should be, and like I said, we're in our production bubble on those pieces. Some other things, the night vision goggles, they are rolling right along. That's a long, long project. We're still looking to have those done by the end of the year, though, and we'll have some more updates on those soon. What's something else? Mr. DNA. So everything you guys have seen on Mr. DNA recently, and we even stuck a new teaser up the other day. Well, it's the old teaser, but we recycled it the other day just because it's such a cool picture. You can kind of get a sense of scale with him next to the cryo can, but the actual piece that you're going to see will be just over a foot tall. So Mr. DNA is going to be a big guy, and a lot of heft to him. Comes on a super cool base. That's quickly turning into a favorite piece of all of ours. It's one of those things. We knew it was going to be cool, and we liked where it was headed when we were seeing the prototypes. But now it's turned into that happens sometimes. The child becomes much more intelligent and much prettier than you thought they were. At first. So no, it's looking really good. And what else? What else am I missing? There's a couple other things in there.
Oof. I don't know. There's so much going on at the moment. It's hard to
Yeah,
know.
so the one thing we're trying not to do. It's so frustrating. We're working on about 24 other pieces, most of which we can't talk about yet because we still our press release hasn't dropped with our one of our new licenses. Again, I'm trying so hard not to trip over it, but we'll be able to reveal a lot of other things that we're working on right now that are already in pre-production. And then, of course, there's the Toho Studios, the Godzilla stuff. You guys have seen some little peaks at the Oxygen Destroyer. That is selling right along. And then we are now spending a little time on King Ghidorah's head. One of the surviving Ghidorah busts is over at Toho, and we'll be scanning that and reproducing it probably in a silicone. So that's going to be a sweet piece. The goal there is kind of to preserve it as it sets. That, like we were talking about, sometimes you got to make a choice when you're replicating something. Are you replicating it as it was or as the original remains? And this is a good example of. I think we're going to. It's in such a good shape, and it's such just an important piece of cinematic history that I think we're going to replicate that as it sets. That's the goal. So there'll be some more info on that soon, and then That's pretty much it. So you guys should see a good bit of this stuff getting ready to open up for reserve. And for those of you who don't know, uh, we don't do the traditional reserve like a lot of our counterparts do. We don't announce an item and then instantly pop up the reserve list and take money for it. In fact, we only open up items for any kind of soft reserve, like 10% or something like that, to allow the collector to reserve a space, a spot in line, so they don't end up having to chase something on the secondary market should it sell out. So we kind of just do an interest list, and there's no obligation. You just stick your name on there if you think you might be interested in something we've got coming, and then we go down that list in the order in which everybody chimes in, and you get first right of refusal. You can sign up for the reserve list if you want to, and if you don't want to, you don't. But it does kind of mark your place in line, your hand in the air if you think you might be into something, and you'll be among the first who are notified that we've moved over to the reserve period of a run. And we don't even do that until the pieces are literally coming off the line, or we're at a point where the work is done, all but on a boat on its way to us. So it's just a little refresher there of how we do our reserves and our interest lists. But other than that, been a pretty busy week. We've just been kind of head down grinding, and we're going to keep this kind of short. Anybody else got anything? Amy, you got any stuff you want to add? I mean,
I do. We get a lot of interest regarding Kay and Love's blasters, so I figured I might as well give you the opportunity to comment on Kay and Love's blasters because I know
yeah,
they.
put me on the spot on that one when I have absolutely nothing to add. There's the brutal honesty. No, Kay and loves Blaster. So another thing, what a lot of people don't realize. So all the stuff we've already done. Now we've talked about licensing and uh, the fuse that's on your agreement, with a license holder. Sometimes licenses are 2 years, sometimes they're three. Some of them are much longer than that. We've already released quite a bit of Blade Runner goodies. We've done every flavor imaginable of Deckard's Blaster. We've done the Hero. We've done the Water Blasters. We've done the model kit. We've done the spinners, the spinner logos. And now we're working on the Joy Emanator. So there's actually two things we forgot to update on. So apropos, so the Broken Joy Emanator, that's in production right now, and the Hero is kind of in pre-production. So both those pieces are being worked on. Forgot to mention those, and also the spinner, the Studio Skull spinner, is in development. So there's a lot going on now. Kay and Love's Gun, they are in pre-development. So we we showed them off about a year ago just to say, hey, it's coming. And the reason I say, hey, it's coming, and I explain these licenses is we've recently renewed our agreement to continue doing more Blade Runner stuff. So we're trying to space all this stuff out. So we don't want to release, we can't release everything in the same year. We can't do all this and then do here comes Kay and Love's Gun and here comes the spinner. You sometimes got to give everybody a minute to catch their breath and let their wallet recover. Their wallet's just in the corner crying. Give me time to catch my breath, and that's kind of what we're doing there. So we want Kay. The general rule is we want Kay and Love's Gun to be as neat as everything else. We don't want it to be a cheap orphan of one of these higher end pieces. It deserves its time too, and that's what we're trying to do with it. We're trying to figure out how much of it's going to be metal. Of course, we're not. It's not going to be like neither one of them is going to be like the Hero Deckard Blaster, our Elite Blaster. I mean, that's clearly there's a more interest in a product like that. Clearly, we have to spend more money to produce it and that sort of thing. And while there's a few collectors, myself included, who would love to have the equivalent of the Deckard Blaster in Kay and Love's Gun, that sort of thing, so few people would want to spend that much money on it. So it's striking that balance of how do we make it complement the other pieces, the rest of the collection, but I also don't want it to be super cheap either. So we're really how much
the methods of how those props were constructed are significantly different than how the Deckard Blaster prop was created.
It really is.
We couldn't honestly make it the same way as Deckard because that's not how the prop is made.
Well, right. And Jared's speaking to found parts and so on that brought
Yeah.
this together.
They didn't have 3D printing and, you know, digital sculpting when they made Deckard's original blaster. So the K and Love guns, those are reflective of updated production standards and the abilities that the crew has now to make those props.
Right. And they were printed. And we want to do something a little more than that. Again, the rule is in-house. It's got to be better than what you could buy on Etsy, right? You know, and the files on some of those pieces are out there, and people 3D print them, and they do great jobs. There's good fan-made 3D printed pieces from the original files available, but we kind of want to do a little something more for that, you know, as a licensed product. So where I can get some metal in there, and you know, it's cool to the touch and that sort of thing. We want to try and do that. So certainly a mixed media on their construction. So thank you, Amy, for sandbagging me with that when I really didn't have a good answer for it, other than what I just said.
That was actually the answer that I was hoping you would go with, because that's basically what I say to every single person that reaches out about it. So we like to give you guys the best updates that we possibly can, but sometimes we do have to look at our total production schedule for the next 3 to 5 years and make decisions on stuff like that over, yes, of course you guys want this and we need to make it right now, and we're only going to make 2 for the 2 people who are screaming at me for these things.
Well, right. And we're essentially talking about, as it sets, a 6-year run. You know, we were in for 3, now we're in for another 3, and we've got some room to space these things out, and there's just no reason to rush them. Like I was saying, there's a reason that's one of the other reasons we don't like taking reserves for anything we do. If we were to take a reserve, sooner or later you reach a point in a run where you're accountable for somebody's money. You know, you've got to answer some questions like, hey, where's my stuff? How long are you guys going to take on this? And then we've all seen it where companies seem to move that goalpost back and making excuses for why something hasn't happened. We're just never going to do that. So again, by the time you see an interest list, it's going to happen. That means we're into it, and we're well past protos. And then later on, when you actually see a reserve, that runs further along than you could possibly imagine. So yeah, we want to take our time with this one, and but it is in pre-production, and we're starting to talk about what we want it to do. It's with its factory that we're going to use, and we're just ferreting out with the engineers the directions of it. But they're also working on a half a dozen other things for us too. So in good time, it all comes as the answer for Kay and Love's gun. And I'm almost know what? I'm not going to ask you if you have any more questions for me, because you'll hit me with something else. But I do want to bring something up real fast. As we do these videos, we've joked about the 16 people and my mother who watch these. Literally, our families watch these, and there are a few more than that now who watch these, and we're starting to get some feedback of what people want to see. It's interesting because we're trying to find our pacing with this. I don't always want to just talk about what we're selling. You know, the idea is we talk about, if you guys could see us in the office or when we're just on the phone, what we talk about. We're always talking about movies or a new album or some other collectible that we bought that another company's made. You know, again, we collect stuff too. So we're trying to strike a balance of how much of that, we want to share, talk about what we're making, what goes into it. Sometimes we share some complaints, the trials and tribulations of working with different factories, and sometimes a studio that, has challenged our patience a little bit. But one thing to be nice is that if you guys want to maybe participate in one of these with us, we're thinking about doing these, and I don't know how often we'll do it, but we'll take 2 or 3 people and add them to this, and we could treat it like a Facebook Live, but something along those lines. You can hit us with your questions, and it'd be nice to see some of you. I wish I remembered her name from Dallas. She'll see this and go, "Oh, you forgot my name." I only forgot your name because I was paying attention to all the things you were breaking at the table. Do you remember? She was so awesome. I'm
now she knows who she is.
Yeah, she knows exactly who she is, because she'd come by the table and just goes, I just finished all your videos, blah blah blah. We were so elated. We were like, yay, you're our number one fan. And she was awesome, but she did break one or two things or dropped one or two things. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I'm only saying that so she knows who she is. But you should check in. Send what's the best way for everybody to reach out to you, Amy?
Send emails to info, I-N-F-O, at paragonfxgroup.com.
Cool. And then just tell Amy you wouldn't mind joining us on one of these. And then that way, I mean, we always go into these unscripted, as it's painfully obvious most of the time because we just drone on and there's no real direction. But it would be fun to get a few people every so often as we do these. And that way we can just fill your questions rather than just entertaining ourselves. So,
or if nobody wanted to be on camera, we could just field some Q&A, right? Some general Q&A.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. We just, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So if you guys are interested in that, you might want to jump on one of these. Yeah, hit Amy and we'll tell you all about it.
Awesome.
Other than that, I don't really have anything else, guys. I mean, I just wanted to kind of do that verbal summer quarterly and mention we might have some people on these videos with us.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well,
you got anything, Jared? I mean, is that pretty much it? It's been a weird week because we've just been head down grinding on everything, and you know that speaks to. We'll get to release that press release soon of our new partner, and it'll all make sense, and we can talk about all the other cool things we're working on.
It's also been an odd week because it's San Diego Comic-Con right now. So a lot of our friends and colleagues in this business, in this industry, are either attending the show or they're consumed with some part of it on the back end. So
yeah,
that's what's going on too.
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, the week is it's just crawled by for me in a weird way, but you guys know all the stuff I've been up to this week. But anyway, yeah, let's call this one done. Everybody have a good weekend, and let's look forward to maybe trying to add a few people to us next weekend or next week's video.
Sounds great.
All right, see you guys.
Email us info@paragonfxgroup.com if you want to join.
All right, see you.
See y'all later.